In May 2017, Sandy, my then boyfriend and now husband, and I had been dating for about 9 months. In the first week of May, Sandy and I moved into a new place, and that week's Saturday, we had decided to throw a housewarming party for all our friends. On Tuesday of that week, I was stuck in back to back meetings. The only thing that kept me going was the thought of this party. Somewhere in between the meetings, my phone vibrated. It was a call from my friend Archana. She called to inform that she had some emergency work and she wouldn't be able to make it that weekend because she and her husband had to go out of town. My first thought was to change the date to another one, but she insisted that I go ahead as planned because all our other friends had already confirmed to it. Before hanging up, she also mentioned that she had 2 free passes to a helicopter ride. And if I and Sandy would be interested for one. To be honest, I did not feel any more bad that she couldn't make it to the party. Going on a helicopter ride has been on my bucket list since I had seen the movie Dil Chahta Hai. Remember the song Jaane Kyun? So that evening, I went home and asked Sandy if he wants to go for this helicopter ride. Don't you have vertigo or something? Asked Sandy. I have been on roller coaster rides. Of course I don't have a vertigo. Okay, he sighed, like that was the last thing he wanted to do ever. Sandy to me is a lot like MS Dhoni. From his face, you can't tell if he's winning or losing. Like once, I had called him about a stressful situation at home, and he responded very calmly. Later on, I found out that at that time, when he was taking my call, he was at the police station related to a false case filed against him. Another time, I had thrown a surprise birthday party for him. He had the same level of calmness. So, prison or surprise birthday party? You can't tell the difference. We booked and confirmed our helicopter ride in the afternoon before the party. Pretty much all the arrangements were in place, so I knew this could be accommodated. Only drinks and snacks had to be purchased. So I suggested the morning that let's go and get this thing done together. Sandy, however, suggested that I go get the snacks and that he will get the drinks, and this way we will save time. I agreed, but something was off. Both the places were really close to one another. Why run the errand separately? How much time would we save? Also, it is very unlike Sandy. Usually we do everything together, except I get my coffee from Starbucks and he goes to the roadside tappri for his chai. Now, I didn't think too much into it till I got started with my errands. The moment my Rick drove past the jewelry stores in Bandra, I had an aha moment. Sandy was going to propose. I mean, think of it. It's the perfect setting. It made sense. What could be more romantic than a proposal over the sea? But I had my doubts. Sandy isn't a grand gesture kind of guy. He's all about subtlety. I had once seen Sandy's performance at a colleague's Sangeet. The whole time, you could barely see him because he was dancing behind this really tall guy. When I asked him about it, he said, "Isn't it? I thought that was the great spot to be behind him." I had always imagined he would propose at home. Something private, personal. He had even said, "I love you" for the first time at home. But just in case, I took a quick detour to the beauty parlor. If there was the slightest chance my boyfriend would pop the question, I would at least have pretty nails for the photograph. By the time I got back home, it was time to go to the aerodrome. Now, I wasn't going to let Sandy have all the fun. I decided to join in. I wore the drabbest outfit lying in my wardrobe. one in which Sandy had once refused to go to Starbucks with me. Once he saw me, he frowned. You know, the kind that showed that he didn't think much of the outfit. Are you planning to wear this? Sandy was concerned about the outfit. It's just a helicopter ride. Nothing special, I said. Sandy shrugged his shoulder like, if you don't care, I don't care. This threw me off. Sandy wasn't bothered about how his girlfriend would look forever in the proposal photograph. Maybe I was just imagining all of this. I mean, he didn't even know of this helicopter ride. I told him about it. And maybe he did think running the errands was efficient separately. It was all hitting me now. It was a big misunderstanding. Did I want him to propose this bad? We got to the aerodrome. People around us were looking like they were dressed for the prom. The couple before us was the prom king and queen. The girl was in this red bodycon. The guy was in a tuxedo. And here I was, looking like a proper charity case. When I got onto the plane, there was a cake and bouquet for us inside. I was right. My hope soared. I mean, why would there be a cake and bouquet otherwise? I blushed at Sandy, but he wasn't looking at me. He called the ground staff and said, "Excuse me, I didn't order for this cake and flowers." It's complimentary, the ground staff explained. Please take it away. We don't eat cakes. They did not take it away, but Sandy swore not to touch it. The helicopter started. First, the pilot flew us towards the Juhu beach, and soon we were flying over the sea. It was a breathtaking view. It is way better than what you see in commercial flights because this is not that high up. I thought this was an excellent spot to pop the question, especially because Sandy loved the sea. If you ever go on a vacation with him, you can be assured of staying at the best sea-facing properties. We hovered around that spot for 3 whole minutes. There was enough time. I tried not to look at Sandy. What if he was trying to reach into his pocket? But then nothing happened. I finally looked at him. His pocket wasn't protruding. His hands were free. And he was looking into the sea with the concentration of Vishwamitra. Makes sense. Sandy wouldn't propose and miss the view. When the helicopter took a turn away from the sea, I couldn't take his silence any further. "Let's take a selfie," I said. To this, Sandy, the co-pilot, the pilot, all 3 replied in unison, "Okay." That's when Sandy and I realized that all the mics were connected to each other. Whatever we spoke could be heard by everybody. So whispering sweet nothings was out of the question, even if that was on the agenda. After the selfie, a thought passed my mind. What if the ring is inside the cake? So I decided to open the cake box midair. "What are you doing?" asked Sandy. I was thinking of eating the cake." "What is wrong with you? Please do not waste calories on free cake. Anything free cannot be good." He said this with such disdain for the cake. It was unlikely that he would put the ring inside it. The helicopter then turned towards Andheri East. In our 30 minutes on air, the pilot dedicated 15 minutes to Chakala. Now, I don't know about you, but I believe when people say "go to hell," they mean Chakala or Sakinaka. The pilot very dedicatedly showed us the top view of Mahakali Caves, JB Nagar, Andheri East Station. At that point, all I was thinking was, "Please, God, please, let Sandy not propose over Chakala." That is not a story I want to tell anybody. gut was relentless. I used to live in Chakala. What if he was planning to propose on top of my old building? I mean, why on earth would anybody give anybody a tour of Andheri East? Just as I was getting convinced about this theory, Sandy spoke to the pilot. Can we please get out of here? We have seen enough of this place. It is awful. Straight to the point. Typical Sandy. All this time, both of us couldn't speak to each other because nobody was interested in a four-way conversation. We just smiled, we held hands. Occasionally, I would look at my finger if any ring has been passed on, but in vain. Then, thankfully, the helicopter turned towards Powai, and we were given a tour of IIT and Powai Lake. Neither of them are a good spot for proposal. The helicopter hovered over the Powai Lake for 2 minutes, but Sandy's dismissive look made it clear that I shouldn't get my hopes up. And then the helicopter turned towards the aerodrome. When I realized that we had reached the end of the tour, I realized how stupid I have been. Sandy would have never proposed in front of random people. Looking back now, I realize I had overanalyzed that entire day and had not paid attention to the view, to the ride. A helicopter ride isn't something that one gets to do every day. But this is very typical of all of us. Never in the present, but reminiscing the past and daydreaming the future. Just before the helicopter was about to land the runway, I saw two men holding a banner high. When I looked closely, it said in bold letters, "Will you marry me, Aditi?" My heart skipped a beat. I looked at Sandy and he was holding out a ring. He was miming to avoid the pilots from overhearing. And I nodded my head in yes. And he slipped the ring onto my ring. Once we reached the car, Sandy said, "I didn't hear your answer." "Yes," I yelled. That's when he went on to tell me that he had hatched this entire plan with Archana. He bought the helicopter tickets and then gave it to her and made it look like it was all my idea. The plan was brilliant, except that he did not count on my intuition. I told him that I got a hint of the plan when he suggested we should run the errand separately. But it turns out that Sandy only wanted to have the roadside chai from his favorite tapri, and he knew I disliked it. It is these small gestures of Sandy that made me say yes, not the helicopter ride. Thank you.